Welcome to Mary Jane's Apron.
Hello, and welcome back to my kitchen, where we are cooking with my favorite ingredient ever, marijuana. There's so many amazing ways to cook with this. As I showed you before, we made butter, and now we're going to make oil. All of this right here is an eighth, which as you remember is 3.5 grams, and that is already pre-ground, and I've sifted all of the stems out of it. This is just a regular vegetable oil today that we are going to be working with. And it's going to be very similar to the butter, in which I'm going to cook it on the stove, and then I'm going to be straining it. Now, as you guys saw before, I used a double boiler with the butter. That's because the butter can burn very easily. Oil has a really low boiling temperature, so we can actually put it in on a low heat, and it'll be just as easy as working with a double boiler. So I'm going to fill just about the bottom of the pan with oil. So this is about half a cup, and now we're going to get it started cooking on the stove. And like I said, you're going to want to turn it on to low compared to the butter, which we had going up high. And we can grab our wonderful herb, and then we're going to add it right on in. So you want to always make sure that your oil is on low, because if it gets up too high, the oil will actually deep fry the flour, and that would totally ruin the oil. That is the opposite of what we want. We're trying to infuse the oil with the wonderful properties of the cannabis. Now, the good thing about doing oils, I think, is that there's a lot of other uses for them than butter. You can even just make a simple salad. Add some balsamic, add oil, and there you go. You don't even need to worry about baking or cooking anything. There's also a lot of baking recipes that call for oil instead of butter. And like the butter, we're just going to let this go for a while, stirring regularly, and it will become green. And then we can strain it, and you'll see how awesome it looks. We're going to start by adding our stems to our jar. And these are some of the stems that we had gathered before, some of the ones that I had found lying around, and some random single buds. It's all going to go right into the jar, and then we're going to add the oil. And we're just going to make sure to fill up the jar and have all of the stems and the leaves saturated. And then we're just going to put the lid on, shake it up, and then there you go. All we're going to do is just leave it to sit for a while and let all the really good THC and CBD seep out of there and into the oil. This oil has been cooking on the stove for a while now. Should be ready. I'm going to pick up our strainer. And strain out our oil. And then with this oil, we can accommodate recipes that require oil instead of butter. And as with the olive oil that I did a little while ago, we can add that to some salad, some balsamic, and have a nice, healthy, happy, good, delectable edible. And then this stuff is going to go over here with our others. Now remember, any recipe that calls for butter or oil can totally be substituted for infused butter and oil to make it that much better. And make sure to enjoy yourselves and let your cooking creativity flow.